What is good? Osiris here, stuck in the middle. This is on the Clips channel. We have entered peak clown world as a society, especially America. This is epic proportions of clown world activity. This is from the Washington Post. We go back to the Washington Post from time to time. They have good articles every once in a while, but for the most part, we're here for the laughs, the lulz, the LULZs. From the Washington Post, Elon Musk's vision of free speech will be bad for Twitter. Tesla CEO has used platform in ugly ways. Now he gets to shape the company's policies. Who wrote the article? Who wrote the op-ed? Ellen K. Powell. She's the tech investor known, by me at least, for the best part from former CEO of Reddit, who was a part of the censorship that turned Reddit from a very creative, wild, wild west type of website to the leftist trash that it is now. She's the one that's going to lecture us. And she's a co-founder and CEO of the diversity and inclusion nonprofit project Include. So basically what that means is I'm an establishment. I'm an establishment person. I believe in the state religion of critical theory, and Elon Musk doesn't. And Elon Musk is going to war against ESG. Look on the channel if you don't know what ESG is. And I'm going to help the battle against Elon Musk. That's all that means. I'm going to read this article, or not the whole article, but bits of it. And just so we understand what I'm talking about. This is an article in the Washington Post owned by Jeff Bezos, second richest man in the world, written by the former CEO of Reddit, who was there when the whole free speech thing blew up and they started censoring. And their comment in this article is going to talk about preventing rich people from controlling our channels of communications in an outlet that Jeff Bezos, the second richest man in the world, owns. So are you going against him? Now, still wouldn't agree, but if this op-ed was in the Washington Post and she called out Bezos and said he shouldn't own it, I don't know, they're probably looking for communism. I don't know what they mean. Who's going to own it if it's not a rich guy? It's probably changing the system, or I don't know what it is. But if they would have gone against him, I would have been like, okay, I respect that. I disagree, but I respect that you went at him. Nah, that's not what it goes. That's not the way it goes. She starts out the article saying it takes a lot of money to become a board member of Twitter, but not a lot else, apparently. So is Elon just some idiot then? He's not smart. He's just some bumbling fool. He runs the most successful startup car company since the original manufacturers in our country. The only one that's been successful startup automobile manufacturing company, which really is an artificial intelligence company, and social media is nothing more than artificial intelligence nowadays. That's all it is. It's artificial intelligence platform to regulate human beings' communication. Sounds like he's a perfect guy to be on the board. What, is he not qualified? These are the same people who would say, hey, you're questioning Ketanji Brown. Is she not qualified? Yeah, she's qualified. Is Elon not qualified? With a large stock purchase, and just to be clear, she's qualified, but I wouldn't vote for her. So just because you're qualified doesn't mean I would vote for you. So maybe she's like, oh, he is qualified, but I don't want him on the board. Okay, well then say that. That's just an opinion. With his purchase that we've talked about before, he's now the largest individual shareholder. That doesn't count the asset management firm. So I don't know where they are with those. Last I checked, Morgan Stanley was tied with Elon Musk. But that could have obviously changed by then. But by the last time I looked at it. Elon Musk, the richest man, she called him, Powell called him an abuser of the service. Well, he wasn't banned, and now essentially bought himself a warm welcome from Twitter CEO Parag Agrawal. She's upset that Parag had to say, welcome, like with a question mark. For those of us who care about equity and accountability, I haven't gotten 3 sentences into the article and the word equity is already there. Can I live my life without the word equity being somewhere? All I see when I see the word equity is your thirst. This is her right here. Your thirst, Ellen K. Powell, with you and your nonprofit for diversity and inclusion. All I see is you wanting power. That's what equity means to you, because you get to decide what equity is. My goodness. So she goes on to say, well, she's talking about, well, what she's going to do is go over the concerns with Elon Musk. On non-financial subjects, Musk, who has nearly 81 million followers, often punches down in his tweets, displaying very little empathy. He called a British caver who helped rescue trapped young Thai divers, this was a while back, remember, a pedo guy, beating a defamation suit over the slur, but adding to his reputation as a bully. Okay. You don't have to like him. You can block him if you want. I'm not going to defend his comments here. I don't need to defend his comments. If you don't like it, block it. We all don't have to be like you. And I have a certain way I operate. Some other people operate different. And you know what? We still get along. In February, he tweeted, then deleted a meme comparing Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau to Adolf Hitler. I don't know why he deleted it. But that's why he probably bought into Twitter. Like, I'm not going to have to delete anything anymore. I'm not condoning it. I'm not defending it. Well, I'm defending his right to free speech. And the private company argument is not mine. It's yours, Ellen Powell. So you don't even know what that means. That means if you say they're private companies, and she says that in this article, and they can do whatever the hell they want, damn the First Amendment, damn, the intent behind the First Amendment. When we don't need to amend it, we don't need to interpret it to include the new town square. So then you know what? A rich guy can buy into that private company. That's the only avenue that you've allowed for to combat views that don't agree with yours. This Elon Musk's ability to buy into Twitter fits your private argument perfectly. It's not my argument, but of course he can do it. And then they say, perhaps not coincidentally, allegations of incidents involving racism. You see my doubts here with the racism stuff in Tesla, a lot of it coming out of California. I don't know what's happening or not. It could be true allegations, it could be not. Are we saying that any company that has an allegation of racism, there's a big allegation of racism in the NFL right now? Are you trying to take them down? I covered Brian Flores on the other channel. Colin Kaepernick called it slavery, trying to get back in. I think he did get back in. I lost track of it. So is that the new rule now, Ellen Powell? Because the Tesla factory in Fremont has had allegations of harassment and racial stuff. And they said a woman said that there was a section of the plant known as the predator zone. That's terrible, scary stuff. Don't want that anywhere. Another area is the plantation. I don't know. Those are accusations. It's a he said, she said. I have no idea. We would have to look at the trial and see which side you believe. So is that the thing? Because our own president has allegations against him from somebody that he did something wrong. Trump had allegations. There's a lot of allegations. So how are we defining things now? I just want to make sure it's the same. You talk about equity, so are we going to be equitable on this? If this company has allegations, what about the NFL or any other? Many companies have all kinds of allegations. So Elon Musk said at one point, hey, you've got to be thick-skinned and accept apology. He said this back in the before times. Before times is before the pandemic, 2020. And that was, I would say that was not a smart statement by Elon Musk. So you can say whatever you want here. What does that have to do with him buying into Twitter? He can buy into Twitter. He didn't do anything illegal. They're just trying to change society into, I mean, this isn't even authoritarianism. This is like just an imaginary world. Just because you didn't like what he said, well, now he can't buy into Twitter? How do we even know how to operate? Do I have to ask you before? We have laws. Are we just ripping them all up? He hasn't broken any laws. Trump hasn't broken any laws. Marjorie Taylor Greene hasn't broken any laws. Why are we trying to stop them from running for office? Beat them in the battlefield of ideas. If you don't like Elon Musk taking over Twitter, then go to a different platform. Didn't you make that argument? Pretty much. And now they're not for it. So in October, I talked about this too, that it awarded a black former contractor $137 million in restitution for discrimination. They won't pay out that much. I haven't followed it in a while, but that was the judgment. So they're saying they're clearly dangers to him. Musk calls himself a free speech absolutist, but like many free speech advocates, he willfully ignores that private companies are free to establish some limits on the platforms. What do you mean? That's why he bought into Twitter. He hasn't folks who left Facebook and subsequently raised alarms about the harms the platform can cause teenage girls and other users. So then, do you agree with me, Ellen Powell, that the algorithm should be public property? Because it's the algorithm. The algorithm controls everything. Social media is nothing more than a robot without a body form. It's just AI and machine learning. It's all secret. We don't know what's happening. We have no idea. Nobody knows what role the algorithm plays in harming young men and women and boys and girls. No one knows. So do you agree with me that it should be public? Let's find where we agree. But no, she's trying to use this all in one direction to attack someone she is worried about that will allow her political adversaries to rise on up. When you have a platform like Twitter, if you were to make it a fair playing game where people don't get shadow banned and all that kind of stuff, the vast majority of zombies in the world and the zombies that might happen to trip and fall into Twitter, they will agree with people that probably don't side with her. That's what she's worried about. They don't want to play in the battle of ideas. They don't live in reality. They don't use logic. They're all emotion. That's why they want to cut this out and stop people. They're scared. In the last couple of years of Jack Dorsey's leadership, the co-founder returned to serve as CEO back in 2015 to 2021. Twitter made strides to remove hate and harassment and to give users more control over how they share opinions and how they view what others share. It added features that let users limit who could reply to their tweets, created labels for misleading content, and banned President Trump's account. She's saying this all like it's a good thing. The controls, I'm all for whatever controls you have. But she ends with banned President Donald Trump. Everything in our country, every single news article I read brings up that man's name. It doesn't matter if it's about ice cream or we're talking about free speech. It doesn't matter. His name comes up. After all that, bringing Musk onto the board seems like a big step backward. Okay, cope. Cope harder. And what do you want me to do? As the company's largest shareholder, Musk will no doubt have outsized influence. You're scared. And his clout will be magnified by the board sleeve. You're really scared. He can bend the company toward his preferences. Let's do it like Neo in the Matrix. Let's bend it. Elon might break it if he needs to. Start all over. Whatever needs to be done. So don't hold yourself to bend. I started up kind of a little triggered by it. Now I'm like enjoying this. I've been through a whole emotional roller coaster with just this article. Appreciate you, Washington Post and Bezos. We see why Elon had to buy in. Jeff Bezos has this as a weapon he can use and has been using against Tesla and doing the bidding for the establishment. Elon Musk is like, I'm going to have to use my own platform. Elon Musk waited to the last second, though. Bruh, Jack Posovic just got banned. Elon was just about to get banned off of Twitter. I think if he would have waited one more month, he would have been gone. Maybe he heard rumblings or something. He waited to the last second to buy in enough to get onto that board. Man, imagine if you go back in time and he doesn't buy in, man. This was a moment for the culture war. And she's upset because his clout is going to be rising. He could bend the company and remove reasonable policies on hateful speech and urging people who are harassed to have thicker skins. We've already had this conversation in our country on the First Amendment. There's no need to reinvent the wheel. As long as you are not infringing on somebody else's right, you can say whatever the hell you want to say. That doesn't mean you're guaranteed to keep your job. You got to keep that up. And people can have tools to just block you out. That's the balance. Musk's appointment to Twitter's board shows that we need regulation of social media platforms. This is where I'm going to end. Listen to this. Musk's appointment to Twitter's board shows that we need regulation of social media platforms to prevent rich people from controlling our channels of communications. Written by a rich person, former CEO of Reddit, on the Washington Post platform owned by the second richest man in the world. They have the audacity. They really prey on your ignorance. They think you're just so damn stupid. They just say anything. They think you're so stupid they can say that on Jeff Bezos' platform and you won't care. Journalism is dead, man. It's done. Elon Musk is the largest shareholder of Twitter. Jeff Bezos owns Washington Post. Mark Zuckerberg, of course, Facebook. Reuters, David Thompson, worth $51 billion. We know about Bloomberg. Fox, Wall Street Journal, Rupert Murdoch, worth $21 billion. That's how the society works. Are you aiming at all of them or just the one that doesn't see with fit your viewpoint? For starters, we need consistent definitions of harassment and content that violates personal privacy. So she wants legislation, but she doesn't want legislation for free speech. She wants legislation to squash dissent. That's why they're scared of this red wave that might be ruled by the populist right. Oh, man. If a platform continues to push for growth at all costs, that's what the ESG is for. You don't push for growth. You push for growth within the establishment point of view. She says they would give executives cover to do things they know should be done, but which they are afraid to try out of fear for political backlash or revolt from some users. So she thinks companies would recommend that companies would want the regulations so they could say the government did it, not me. That if you get the government involved, she doesn't even understand how our Constitution works. You can't get the government involved to do regulations on private companies. That's your argument. As soon as the government gets involved, now I am constitutionally protected under free speech. She doesn't even know how the Constitution works, or maybe she does and doesn't respect it. I'm going to end with this, man. They're triggered, and I'm here for it, and I'm happy, and it's just now we're in the game. Let me know what you think. Take care.